Hi, Crime Junkie jurors. It's the end of trial day 2 in Donna Adelson's trial, and let's just say the prosecution wasted no time getting started on a Monday. We heard from 2 out of 3 of Donna Adelson's children, and what we heard today was devastating for her case. Let's get right into it. So the day started out with State Attorney Investigator Jason Newland. Before the jury was brought in, some emails were brought up to kind of lay the foundation so that they could be admissible. Now, the defense objected, but they were ultimately allowed in. Then the jurors are brought in, and Prosecutor Georgia Kappelman got right into the mess of it all. The goal was to show just how involved Donna Adelson was in Wendy's divorce, and to show the lengths that she went to in order to basically control the whole thing. The state used a very effective PowerPoint to visually show the jury different filings from the divorce and how each of those related back to Donna. Now, there were emails where Donna says she's working on Wendy's responses for court. And there were emails where Wendy says that she's sending drafts. And she's like, hey, here's this draft. Let's edit this before they're filed. Donna even lays out what she says are Wendy's best bargaining chips in the divorce. And at one point says that Dan, quote, needs to know there's no way in hell you're staying at FSU, end quote. All of this on a PowerPoint. Now, Donna also has some really harsh things to say about Dan directly. Here are a few of those highlights.
Only an idiot like him would write that. Wow, he is such a royal jackass. How smart are you to get rid of this piece of S? Or, this bastard has not paid 1 cent toward your bridge gap alimony.
Now, I thought that was bad, but then it gets even worse. Donna actually mentions that the judge denied Wendy's request to relocate to South Florida with the kids. She says in an email to someone that she is beyond angry and that they are all very upset. Then, in what is probably the most damning part of Newland's testimony, he reads for the jury a plan of action that Donna outlined for Wendy to basically make Dan's life so quote unquote miserable that he gives up and lets the kids move 8 hours away. She says for Wendy to show this effer what will make him miserable. And y'all, this plan of action, this is bad. Take a look.
Plan of action. 1. Take photos of the boys, dressed nicely, standing at the front door or by the sign of a Tallahassee church. And 2. Make arrangements to get the boys caught up with a private tutor, a teenage Catholic church member, who will come to the house to teach the young men about Jesus. If you don't have time to arrange for this to happen, I'll happily do it for you. 3. Let Gibbers know that your children will be baptized in the Catholic Church. 4. I'm looking into summer camp programs for the boys. We will pay for it. Register them for toddler classes at church. I've looked into this, and even if they don't go, we can show Gibbers that they are enrolled for the fall semester. And you cannot tell anyone this is an act. Take control from him. Get to him psychologically. He's going to want you to stop this.
Yikes. Imagine being on the jury and seeing all of that. You're given this sweet grandma persona, and then you see all of that. Kind of crazy. Now, one other thing that seemed wild to me, Donna had an email where she basically said Dan wasn't able to be an attentive parent because he traveled too much. Remember, he traveled a lot for work. Now, she had literally created an entire list of like every trip that Dan had taken since the birth of he and Wendy's first son. And she sent this to Wendy to use for court. Y'all, who has time for that? Who has time to list out every single trip? And how does she know all that? Was she taking notes? That's so odd to me. Now, when Georgia asked Newland about this, Newland just smirked and he was like, yeah, she's taking a lot of notes. She's very involved. Now, on cross, there wasn't a lot that the defense attorneys could really say here. I mean, how do you answer to any of that? The only argument they really had is that one of the emails wasn't signed, so they can't really prove if it's from Donna or Harvey. Also, the motion that they are calling the grandma motion, where Dan wanted to limit Donna's visitation with the kids, was sent to the email that Donna and Harvey shared. So there was a response to that email and it just said wow with an exclamation point, but there was no signature. So the defense argued that Donna might not have been the one to respond. It seemed like maybe they were trying to imply that she hadn't even seen it. It seems to me like such a small argument for such strong evidence that was presented. Oh, one other argument they made was that Wendy later told Donna that she wasn't going to do any of the wild stuff that Donna was proposing. Now, I'm not exactly sure how this helps Donna, since it seems to show that, like, maybe even Wendy, who couldn't stand Dan, was like, no, I'm not willing to go as far as Donna is. What do you think? Let me know in comments. Now, next up was the testimony that I have personally been waiting on. Wendy Adelson took the stand. And I think it was great the way that the prosecution did this, because we just heard all of these emails, and it's really setting up the way that Wendy was communicating with Donna and allowing her to get so involved in the divorce proceedings. So it put everything that she was saying on the stand kind of in a whole new light. I thought that was very effective. Before she even got started, the judge warned Donna not to react to anything and to keep her emotions in check. Now, Georgia Kappelman brought out the same binder with all of the divorce information and the emails between Wendy and Donna. It became almost like a running joke with our live chat today that every time Georgia asked Wendy about something, she would say she didn't remember. And then Georgia, who is always prepared, would tell her what tab to refer to. She was ready with receipts on hand. Now, as they walked through the emails, it became very clear that the state is wanting to establish just how controlling Donna was. They talked about Wendy's parents, Donna and Harvey, renting a car to drive to Tallahassee just to pick up Wendy so that they could drive her back to South Florida like she can't drive herself. And also how Donna created a dating profile, y'all. She created a dating profile for Wendy and was sending her eligible bachelors in Miami. Would you let your mom create a dating profile for you? I don't think I would. And also that Donna wanted Dan to have a psychological evaluation done. Maybe it wasn't Dan who needed this psychological evaluation, but let me know what y'all think. So here's where things got really, really interesting. Georgia is asking Wendy about looking at a house that she was thinking about buying in Tallahassee. Then she showed a text that Charlie had sent her on Halloween Day. This is 2013. The text had a picture of Charlie and Katie McBanawa, and he told her not to buy the house, that she wouldn't be in Tallahassee much longer. So, for those of y'all who haven't followed this case, Katie McBanawa is the girl who testified at Charlie's trial, that it was at a Halloween party in 2013 where Charlie first asked her if she knew anyone who could hurt someone. And she said yes. That's how Katie became the go-between for Charlie and the hitman. So this seems to show that Charlie had a plan and was maybe letting Wendy know. Then Georgia brings up that Donna and Harvey, who lived in Coral Springs, then decided to get a separate place in Miami just 3 months before Dan's murder. And what's more incriminating, they listed Wendy as a resident there. Now, this is after the judge had already told Wendy, you can't move. Wendy said that her parents got the place and would spend some weekends there. But she says, oh yeah, they listed me as a resident, but that's just so that I could come and go easier. What do y'all think? That seems suspicious, right? I don't know, maybe the pieces of this whole conspiracy puzzle are starting to come together for the jury. What do y'all think? Okay, so after lunch, the questioning moved into the topic of Charlie Adelson. This is Wendy's brother who was convicted in 2023 for organizing Dan's murder. Now, the infamous joke that Charlie made about a TV being cheaper than a hitman, of course that was brought up, and the celebratory dinner after Dan's murder when Wendy said she got sick at the table. And interestingly, Wendy said that she's only heard Charlie refer to that as like a celebratory dinner in other trials. So I guess she's watched them. I wonder if she's watched all of them. Wendy denied using TV as code for murder, and she denied knowing anything about any kind of plan to kill her ex-husband. There were apparently some reactions around the court when Wendy mentioned that she did not go to Dan's funeral and she did not take her kids to Dan's funeral. I will note, though, that there was a memorial that was held in Tallahassee, and she apparently did go to that, so at least there's that. Now, as Georgia was getting ready to wrap things up, she started hitting on some of the biggest points kind of back to back for the most impact, like Wendy mentioning 9 times in her law enforcement interview that she might be a suspect. Or when she said to police that she wanted whoever did this prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But unless it's her brother, because that would be a little bit harder. Who says that to police? Or how she said that after she broke the news to her mom about Dan, she called her right there with police and told her about it. And then when she hung up, she said that she was relieved that her mom sounded surprised. That sounds incriminating, right? Imagine being on the jury and hearing that. But one of the biggest bombshells of Wendy's testimony came when she was asked about the last time that she talked to her mom. Take a look.
When was the last time you spoke to your mother, Donna Adelson, as we sit here today?
November of 2023.
Okay. And so she hasn't given you any information or advice about how to testify in court, has
No,
she?
ma'am. No.
What about, you did offer testimony in November of 2023 as well, right, on a related case?
Yes.
Okay,
October.
And did your mom, when you spoke to her in November of 2023, offer you any advice or thoughts about how you should act or behave or what you should say in court?
Yes,
She did.
she did.
And what was that?
I can't tell you I remember exactly, but she was hoping I would be supportive of my brother.
Okay. And do you know what her thoughts were afterwards?
I do.
Okay. And what were they?
She was devastated.
She didn't feel you were supportive.
No.
Now, that time frame that she gave is right around the time that Donna Adelson was arrested. This is right after Charlie's trial. On cross, the defense tried to make a few points and poke some holes in the damage that was done, but that wasn't an easy task. They claimed that the $1 million bribe was just an incentive. It wasn't meant for Dan to give up his parental rights. It was meant for him to move to Miami with the kids as well. One big happy family. And they also brought up an email where Harvey had handled the Geek Squad appointment for the TV repair guy that was going to come to Wendy's that morning that Dan was murdered. And in the email, Harvey had checked the box when they ask you all the questions that if an earlier appointment became available, that he would be okay with that. So the implication here is that the appointment was not used as an alibi. Now, they argued that Donna didn't hate Dan, and they mentioned that she had made him some banana bread, the kind that he likes that didn't have nuts, it had the chocolate chips in it. So of course she didn't hate him, right? Ignore all those emails. And finally, they introduced some communication from Wendy that said she didn't necessarily want to move to Miami. She said, you know, I could stay in Tallahassee and be fine, even if her family didn't agree with that. To me, this seemed like it was actually worse for Donna because it made it seem even more like Donna was trying to control things, not caring who wanted what. But the defense argued that Wendy had not told Donna any of this or that the judge had denied the relocation request with prejudice, meaning she denied it and then you can't ask again. Basically, they say Donna didn't know that relocation was off the table and Wendy didn't tell her. And that's the only reason that she sent all of those awful emails about how to make it happen. Wendy acknowledged on the stand that she was a people pleaser and often felt like an actor in someone else's show, including her mom's. Is it just me, or did Wendy seem a little more rattled on the stand this time around compared to the previous trials that she's testified in? For those of you who've watched before, let me know what y'all think in comments. Okay, then we got to a witness that we have never heard from before in any of the other trials. Enter Rob Adelson, Wendy's older brother and Donna's oldest son. Now, he is an ear, nose, and throat specialist who lives in New York, successful doctor. He started out talking about how Donna has controlling tendencies and fixed ideas for what she wants for her kid's life. And he even made a comment about how she has very fixed and rigid ideas for what she wants, and if you follow that, you're fine. But if you don't follow that, things are not fine. Now, from Rob, we hear that Donna really liked Dan when Wendy and him were first together, but by 2014, Donna, quote unquote, hated him. Those are strong words, y'all. Then he testified that Donna had helped Wendy relocate in Tallahassee during the divorce, renting her an apartment and hiring movers. She also told Rob about the $1 million bribe that she wanted to offer Dan Markel. Now, something that was unusual to Rob was prior to Dan's death, Wendy texted him that she had a boyfriend and even sent a few photos of them together and said something about not mentioning him to their parents. According to Rob, she had never shared anything like that with him before. So why now? Now, this boyfriend is Jeff Lacasse, so we will probably be hearing from him. He has testified in the previous trials. Then Rob testified about when and how he heard the news about Dan's murder. Donna called him the day after and said this.
So it's one of those moments that you'll just remember forever. So I remember being in the lobby of the Westin, and I assumed something terrible had happened, and but I wasn't ready for it. She said, so we just want to let you know that Danny's been shot, and they took him to the hospital, but he didn't make it. And it didn't make any sense. And I probably asked like a few medical questions, and they said they're driving up to go help Wendy, and we'll talk to you later. We can't talk now.
And then he said something that left me stunned.
The only really other time that I spoke with him that weekend, I was in the airport going home, like Sunday afternoon, so it was definitely the next day, and it was the first time I could actually have any kind of conversation. And one of the things that she told me is, it bothered me, but I didn't have any other details about. But she said that someone went to the front door and said, "Are you Dan Markel?" and then shot him. And then I said, "Well, how could you know that? Who's telling you that?" And she said, "Well, that's just what they're telling us."
How could they have known this? How could Donna have known this? That's what they're telling us. Who is they? Oh, and one last thing. Donna told Rob not to talk to the police. What? When he told her that he already had, she was like, "Well, you don't know anything anyway." That sounds bad, y'all. His testimony was kind of heartbreaking. You could tell that it was really hard for him to be up there, and he is estranged from his family, and he really kind of broke my heart on the stand. Let me know what y'all think. Now, the final witness of the day is the officer who was at the roadblock when police and first responders were at Dan's. Now, the prosecutors showed a map on the big screen, and it showed like where Dan's house was and where the roadblock was, which was just north of Dan's house, and also where the liquor store was that Wendy Adelson went to that day. The officer saw a maroon Honda Odyssey van and knew that that's what the victim's ex-wife drove, so it stood out to him. It's something that he noted in his reports. He saw the van come near and had to do a turn and then go the other way. But the interesting thing here is that you can see on the map that Wendy would have had to go kind of up and around to go to the liquor store in order to pass by where he was. There's like a straight route down here, and she went like all the way up here. When you see it on the map, you realize how it really doesn't make sense for her to go that way. It's not really on the way. It's taking a longer route. And the implication here, it has always been from the state that Wendy may have just wanted to drive by because she knew that something had happened that morning. So that's it for day 2. It was a huge day in court. Between the terrible emails that Donna sent about Dan to the testimony that we heard from Rob implicating his mother's consciousness of guilt, I can't decide what the biggest bombshell of the day was. And we still have to hear from Donna's other child, convicted murderer Charlie Adelson. So could he take the stand tomorrow? And will he throw Donna under the bus in hopes of maybe saving himself on appeal? I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. We will be back live again tomorrow morning for day 3, 9 a.m. live right here on Crime Junkie Jury. Come watch with us.